Hey everyone, I'm Nicole,
And I'm Gabrielle.
and we are the hosts of the Spiritual Sisters podcast.
Join us every week as we discuss all the spiritual topics like astrology, mediumship, psychic insights, and so much more.
We are often joined by others we have met along our spiritual journey who are well versed in many of these areas.
Get ready for enlightening discussions and interviews and personal experiences that we hope will expand your mind and get you thinking outside of the box.
Whether you're a seasoned spiritual seeker or just beginning your spiritual journey, there's something here for everyone.
Check us out every Tuesday wherever you get your podcasts. See you then.
Bye!
Hi, beautiful souls, and welcome back to the Soul Ecosystem Podcast. I am your host, Anna Rising, and on this podcast, we discuss all things soul contracts. I'm a professional soul contract reader, and I work with a modality that combines Jewish mysticism, astrology, tarology, and numerology to calculate what you agreed to experience in this lifetime. Today, we are going to be doing a soul contract on a very famous MomTalk member. And by saying that, I'm like, wait, famous MomTalk member. Actually, she was the leader of MomTalk. She was the creator of MomTalk, Taylor Frankie Paul. Now, I found out about MomTalk and Taylor Frankie Paul through The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, the TV show. I think it's on Hulu. And the second I found out all of the members' zodiac signs, I was like, I need to take a look at their soul contracts. And I wanted to start with Taylor Frankie Paul because she is a Gemini. And that entire cast of MomTalk, it's like half Gemini, half Pisces. So Taylor Frankie Paul is a Gemini. Jen Affleck is a Gemini. Jesse Natakura is also a Gemini. And then we have Michaela Matthews, Pisces, Macy Neely, Pisces, Layla Taylor, Pisces. And then Whitney and Demi are different zodiac signs, which I wonder if that's the reason they're always kind of sticking out like a sore thumb from the rest of the group. But Demi? They call her Demi, right? Throughout the show. Demi is a Leo and Whitney is a Taurus. So yeah, I wanted to look into Taylor Frankie Paul's soul contract specifically because out of all of the MomTalk members, I feel like she gets the most hate, like she gets the most crap. And I feel like there's a reason for that, but at the same time, like I relate to her so much because fellow Gemini here, but also the entire reason I started watching Secret Lives of Mormon Wives is because I'm very much obsessed with seeing like Mormon culture and the effect that it has on fellow Mormons, seeing how that religion kind of plays into their relationship dynamics, all religion really. I'm very interested by that because I grew up in a very high control religion. So it was very interesting to watch how that kind of shaped the relationships that they're having with the other members, the other moms on this show, as well as the dynamics in their marriages, in their relationships. I think it needs to be studied, like the effects of high control religion needs to be studied because I feel like it's so damaging. It can be so damaging to people's mental health, to their self-esteem. And coming out of a high control religion like Taylor Frankie Paul did, I mean, you can see her kind of gradually unraveling on the show. And I felt so bad for her, especially when she got together with Dakota and then she got pregnant by him. And then they were having these off and on, again, like relationships, like they'd fight, they'd break up, they'd make up. And then the way her parents were handling it is, I feel like, induced by Mormon culture and their religion. And Taylor's reaction to all of this feels like a trauma response. Taylor's acting from this place of fight or flight throughout, I feel like, the entire first season. And then we see her, it almost feels like she's disassociating. She gets so used to being villainized. She gets so used to being the bad guy that she kind of accepts it. And I was practically screaming at the television. I'm like, do not get back together with this guy. So I'm like, it would be very interesting to take a look at her soul contract and see what she's working with, what kind of lessons she's agreed to experience or learn in this lifetime in order to better understand what is going on underneath the surface, underneath what is being shown on screen. And I can't wait to explore that with you guys today. So, without further ado, let's kind of give you guys the rundown of who Taylor Frankie is, her story, what she kind of went viral for. Taylor Frankie Paul is a Utah-born influencer who rose to fame on TikTok as one of the founding fathers of MomTalk. She was born May 23rd, 1994. This already says so much because she's operating with a double 5 energy because she was born in May, number 5, and she was born on the 23rd. Add it together, it's also 5. We're gonna go through the significance of that. But she's known for her charisma, openness, being very outspoken, and she became one of the group's most recognizable faces. Her life shifted dramatically in 2022 when she publicly revealed that she and several couples in her friend group had been involved in soft swinging, quote unquote. This kind of started this social media firestorm that led to the collapse of her marriage to Tate Paul. It broke some friendships and it turned Taylor into the central figure of a very viral and public scandal. This controversy eventually became the driving storyline in The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, where Taylor's personal struggles, friendships, and the fallout of everything that happened took center stage. Viewers also witnessed her navigating co-parenting, public backlash, and her tumultuous relationship with Dakota Mortensen, which included a highly publicized domestic violence incident and later a pregnancy that resulted in the birth of her 3rd child and son named Ever. I remember watching that episode where this whole domestic violence incident was happening, and I remember feeling like something was missing. Like there must have been, I don't know, either some instigation. I don't know why it felt off. It just felt off. It doesn't make what she did okay at all. She ended up getting charged with domestic violence and like felony, like 3rd-degree felony or something like that. But I think she was intoxicated. I think she was drunk when all of this happened. Despite all of this chaos, Taylor has continued to rebuild her life publicly and being really transparent about her mistakes. I feel like she's been nothing but honest and like holding herself accountable. And this eventually just led to her having more fame. So without further ado, let's get into her soul contract because it is an interesting one with a double 5 energy. So 5s, if you are a May Taurus or a May Gemini, you have the energy of the number 5 in your soul contract. 5s are very logical. To them, family is very important. They're very family oriented, but they are very ruled by logic. They like structure. They like rules. I feel like as a kid, this manifests as somebody that really wants to play board games by the rules. They don't like to step outside of the rules. They're like, okay, we either play this right or we don't play this at all. That's the energy of the number 5. So whenever somebody steps out of that structure, whenever somebody steps out of logic, it's very triggering for number 5s. They like that predictability. They like that routine. It's comforting to them. It's like a cozy blanket to them. If you think of like a stuffy that you had as a kid or a blanket that you loved as a kid that you carried around everywhere, this is that blanket for them. Number 5s are also very good public speakers. They're very good at communication, and we kind of see that in Taylor Frankie Paul's ability to gather like-minded women together and make MomTalk. I felt like the entire time I was watching Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, it felt a little bit stunted. It felt like the emotional growth that these women were supposed to have was a little bit stunted. And I think, again, that ties back to the religious trauma that they may have faced. I mean, throughout the entire show, they're talking about how they need to reprogram themselves, maybe not using those words, but how they need to kind of relearn how to not feel ashamed of their bodies, not feel ashamed of posting themselves in like revealing clothing or clothing that lets people know that they're not wearing their Mormon undergarments, right? And that was very interesting to observe. Number fives are really good with children because they have this family orientedness. They'd make excellent teachers. They'd also make excellent lawyers because they have that charm to them, that ability to communicate to them. And I feel like part of the spark that is Taylor Frankie Paul, I feel like part of the attraction to her is her quick wit. Geminis in general are usually kind of known for that, to be someone that is able to come up with a comeback really fast. And if you're a Gemini and you particularly don't resonate with the liking structure, liking routine, liking rules, you're likely born in June. You're likely a 6 Gemini. Now, those are kind of like the upsides to number 5. There are some downsides. There are some negative qualities to number 5 when they're not operating in alignment, when they're going through a tough time. You're going to start to see a very in the box thinking. And I feel like it's precisely that Taylor Frankie Paul was able to think outside of the box, that she was able to create MomTalk, to create this group dynamic of women that all were going through something similar, and they kind of wanted to break the stigma of what it means to be a housewife, to be a Mormon wife. And when the 5 is operating from the negative, you are going to see this manifesting by narrow-mindedness. Like 5s that are operating from their negative tend to see the world in black and white, which is no surprise. Taylor was raised in a pretty black and white culture where everything was either what God wants you to do or what the devil wants you to do. And when this kind of narrow-mindedness happens, there's this unwillingness to step out of the parameters that you've kind of put around yourself, out of the boundaries that you've put around yourself. This prevents any kind of spiritual growth, personal growth, career growth, because the person can't get out of their own mindset, can't get out of their own way to grow. And this is why I don't necessarily love the 5 from the negative standpoint, because 5s are known to try and impose their beliefs on other people. They try and make everybody think the way they think, because they think that the way they go about living is the right way and there's no other right way and everybody should be following them. So there's this kind of like hero complex, and I feel like they seek that validation in order for it to feel like they're doing the right thing with these self-imposed rules. They seek that external validation to tell them that there's a reason they're making all of these sacrifices. And you can't really do that if other people don't believe what you believe. Now, socially, in her social life, she has the number 3. So when you have the number 3 in the social part of your soul contract, this means that at some point in your incarnation, you are going to be in an influential position in society where you're given an opportunity to influence others and advise them. And the natural ability that 3s have to communicate makes it very easy to find like-minded people around you. So it's no surprise that Taylor Frankie Paul got into the position where she is now, where she's getting brand deals, where she's so TikTok famous, internet famous, that she has all these opportunities. Now, the strengths of number 5s is that they have this potential to wield significant financial resources. If Taylor Frankie Paul was in finance, if she was like a financial manager, she would be excellent at managing other people's finances, and she'd likely be in charge of a lot of money, of managing a lot of money, helping other people like make sense of where to invest, what to invest in. Fives are good with that. The things fives struggle with is a little bit of selfishness. They have to kind of remember to reprioritize and reflect and try not to have an excessively materialistic outlook on life, because that can hinder an individual's success. It can hinder a five's success. There may be like this propensity to impulsively indulge in certain needs or desires that could be harmful either to relationships or their health, which kind of makes sense with why she had that explosive domestic violence incident when she was drinking. And I kid you not, the last part that it talks about when it talks about the number five's weaknesses is that keeping a person in their life, in their relationships that is not worthy of them could have a catastrophic impact on their destiny. And I kid you not, if you guys, they even mentioned this in season 3, I believe, but every time Taylor Frankie Paul had some kind of big PR stunt or like extremely insane opportunity, like with the, I think it was CMAs, at the CMAs, the Country Music Awards, right before, Dakota would sabotage the hell out of it. And it wasn't just that incident. I think Macy's the one that brought this up in the show. She was like, do you see how every time you have this insane opportunity where you are doing something that is like the pinnacle of success, he's starting stuff with you. Something comes out like how, okay, I'm going to do a little spoiler for you guys if you haven't seen season 3. Right before she did the CMAs, in season 3, it came out that Dakota was sexting with a family friend of hers while he was trying to get back into Taylor Frankie Paul's graces and trying to start dating her again, and they started like hooking up again. That came out right before the CMAs, and she had to go into this event like trying not to have a mental breakdown. So when it says in her soul contract that having a person that's not worthy of you can have a catastrophic impact on your destiny, this is exactly what it's talking about. And this is getting me so pumped up because I'm so happy. I'm so happy that her soul contract brings this up because Dakota was absolutely horrible for her. He was so toxic. And I'm not saying that she didn't have her own, like in Russian, we say cockroaches in her head, that she didn't have her own problems to get through, her own toxic behaviors to process, but they exponentially made each other worse. So this is what it means, like when you see somebody with the energy of the number 5, if it says in your soul contract, like it's very important for you to have relationships with people that are worth it, with people that add to your life, not make it a living hell. You could easily say that that's for most people, but for number 5s especially, it could be catastrophic if you do not have that. If you have somebody that's continuously undermining you. And that's just what we have from the first 3 numbers in her soul contract, guys. The next part of the soul contract, and as I'm doing this, I feel like I need to mention this. The next part of the soul contract is the previous life karmic debt. And usually what I do in a soul contract reading is I give you guys the karmic debt theme and the lesson and recommendations there, and then I tune into your Akashic records to really get into this past life and let you guys know what happened. I only do that in the actual soul contract readings because I do not access people's Akashic records without their permission. So we are just going to go based off of the general karmic debt that is in Taylor Frankie Paul's soul contract, the numbers that we found there, what they mean, and the lessons and recommendations for her in this incarnation, kind of how to heal that karmic debt, how to move past it, and not repeat that cycle again. And her past life karmic debt is insanely interesting. As soon as I saw it, I'm like, that makes perfect sense why she became as viral as she did, why she kind of got this like nationwide fame, her own freaking TV show essentially, because she has the karmic debt with the numbers 18, 6, 15. This is a person that in a previous life had the ability to influence events and people's destinies. This could manifest as a person that had magical knowledge or a very significant social standing, political standing. Either way, it was very easy for them to impact others, to influence others, and to change their lives. And Taylor Frankie Paul did just that with MomTalk. She changed the lives of all of the MomTalk group. She was the instigator to this blow up, to this viral trend. Now, here's where it gets interesting because this came up in all of the seasons. I feel like all 3 seasons, she constantly hit this brick wall with her friends because she has this influence, because she has this propensity to influence others, to change their lives. She kind of acts on things without really thinking about them and without thinking about how it impacts the group. And it constantly kind of blows back up in her face. Her friends talk to her about this on more than one occasion. They're like, yeah, you went and did that. You went and started talking about the swinging scandal, or you went and started talking about this, and you didn't think about how it would impact us at all. It blew up in our face. Now everybody is up in arms over us about the time that you went to the CMAs and then you posted that nobody congratulated you. None of your friends congratulated you. And that was a whole thing, I think in season 2 or season 3, how they started getting death threats. Like the rest of the MomTalk groups got death threats and like harassment and like being called all these names because she made the choice to post that. And this is exactly what her past life karma talks about. Even if something is done with good intentions, there is this huge, huge ability to influence others and destroy their lives. So it's kind of like this domino effect because she has this power within her to change people's lives. It's like a domino effect that you cannot control. Once you start with the first domino, it kind of just like starts spiraling into a shit show. So what does this mean for Taylor Frankie Paul in this lifetime? Because in that lifetime, it sounds like she could have been responsible for a lot of people getting their heads chopped off. In this lifetime, the person is constantly being put into a position where they have to choose between using this power for good or using this power for the detriment of themselves and others. So how does this manifest in her current incarnation? She's always like in this position where she feels like she is the most experienced person out of the group, out of her friend group, or out of her mom group. And she knows how to deal with certain like conflicts or PR stunts or whatever it may be that they have to kind of put out. In this incarnation, this manifests as her giving advice that nobody asked for, and then proceeds to take action to try and fix something, but it will blow up in her face. So what ends up happening is because there's this like eagerness in her in this lifetime to kind of butt into people's life and give them advice, she's going to have somebody that's brought into her life to kind of show her how detrimental that is. So she's going to have somebody that comes in and starts like influencing her life, starts kind of guiding her actions, guiding her movements according to what they think that she needs to do. And she may feel very disempowered by that. She might lose some of that spark that she has that draws people to her, that draws that influence to her, because she has a lot of internal energy. She has a lot of internal power. And honestly, you could see that all over her TikTok videos because you would need a lot of energy to be recording that much less moving that much, doing dance moves like that. I wouldn't be able to keep up. She's a little bit of a destiny weaver. She has this internal power to shift her life towards the direction that she wants to. And if she really hones in on that, she'd be really excellent at doing that. I wonder if there was any manifestation practices that she was doing to bring about the life that she currently lives? I'd be very interested to know that. The main lesson for her in this lifetime, and this is not a really deep, like karmic debt. On one hand, it is because it's about free will. It's about giving people the option to choose. It's about not interfering in other people's karma, not interfering in other people's business. Her main lesson in this lifetime is to learn to not interfere with other people's path, not give them unsolicited advice. If somebody asks her for advice, of course, like, yeah, give them advice. Like if somebody's coming to you and asking you, you've been through this, can you give me any idea of how I can get out of it? Yeah, go ahead, but don't do it like all of the toxic moms that you see on the internet that are like, oh, you shouldn't formula feed and you shouldn't do this and you should. Nobody asked. That's piling up karma for you right there. Now, let's get into the next part of her soul contract, which is her approach to life. So, there's a little bit of this desire for the unattainable for Taylor Frankie Paul. She has this desire for power and influence. And the way that this might manifest in her life, like the symptoms of this kind of not power hungriness, but like this, she wants to leave an impact, is living beyond your means, willing to do something illegal for money, being aggressive towards others, emotional breakdowns, unrealistic fear of having an intimate relationship, fear of fulfilling your dreams, lack of confidence, confusion between personal desires and temptations, remaining in exploitative relationships, painful attachments to a romantic partner, desire for revenge, impulsivity that leads to regretful choices, involvement in love triangles, addictions, and intimacy issues. And this kind of explains the energy she has starting off in season 1. She feels so lost. There is definitely this inability to control impulses, to discern what's good for you and what's not good for you. And I was so proud of her in season 3 for not giving Dakota a chance until she ended up hooking up with him. And then she quickly, like the universe, presented her with a reason as to why she should never trust this guy again. Not like the universe hasn't already done that a million times for her. But I think that really sealed the deal for her. Moving on to the destiny part of her soul contract, there's a lot of interesting stuff in there. There's specifically the number 20, which is about healing family dynamics, healing family bonds, accepting your parents and accepting your family and relatives as they are. That's playing out for her, but her general destiny, her general number is the number 9, and it is all about balance. Number 9 in your destiny, part of your soul contract, is about finding middle ground in everything, not always being so hot and cold, which we see from Taylor Frankie Paul a lot. She either doesn't care or she cares so much that she's spiraling into something that is destructive. So there's this need to kind of be able to pull yourself back from the destructiveness, from the impulse to lash out, to seek some sort of comfort from vices or like going back to ex-boyfriends that you know aren't good for you, and to not get to a point where you're so desensitized and apathetic to anything that you just don't care. When it comes to her subconscious programs, we're going to get into her subconscious programs right now. She has a few very good ones. Now, subconscious programs are the thought patterns, cycles, and or blessings that you have incarnated into this lifetime to experience. And the first one that we see for her is, again, one of influence. If I had to like label a subconscious program that's like, you're going to be a social media influencer, this would be that subconscious program, because it's all about ability to have like this effect on people, to charm people, to get like-minded people together and unite them towards a common goal. So this person is a very good leader, very strong leader. They're able to take control, take center stage. And the MomTalk group actually talked about this. They talked about how out of the entire MomTalk group, Taylor Frankie Paul, who founded MomTalk, who started MomTalk, is so good at being that leader, that voice that they need to kind of speak for everybody, to lead them in the right direction, to make the decisions, to make the choices, to start the conversations that they need to start. This is exactly why she has this inherent skill to her to organize and get people together and lead them. The next subconscious program is why I hold such a huge space in my heart for her, because I identify with a lot of what she's been through, which is the whole reason I'm doing this episode on her. I love how she uses MomTalk to send a message of empowerment for women and mothers everywhere. And it's because at her core, she's a very, very sensitive and trustful person. This makes sense as to why she kind of had such a hard time with not going back to Dakota, because on one hand, she really wants to believe that he's changed when he says that he has, when he says that he wants to work on things. She's very trusting. She's very sensitive. And this sensitivity is what ends up getting her in trouble, because she's a little bit empathetic. She kind of gives people the benefit of the doubt who don't deserve the benefit of the doubt, and it ends up hurting her. So the lesson for her in this program is to not be so quick to forgive and forget. I know everybody, especially religious communities, they love to kind of preach to turn the other cheek or to forgive others and forget about what they did. But that opens people up to predatory behavior. It opens people up to abuse, because it's not enough for somebody to ask forgiveness. They need to show you that they learned something from this, and they're not going to put you in the same exact position that they just put you in. There needs to be a change of behavior. There needs to be proof of a change in behavior. Otherwise, the cycle is just going to continue. So with this subconscious program, her recommendation is to remember the past. You can forgive a person, but you need to still remember the position that they put you in if you decide to give them a second chance, so that you don't end up having to give them a third, fourth, fifth, sixth chance, so that the same mistakes won't happen again, so that you don't get hurt again. And that's what happens with the subconscious program. The person keeps giving another person chances, and it leads to them getting hurt over and over again, getting lied to over and over again. That's why the subconscious program is called repetition of deception, because Taylor Frankie Paul has such a gigantic, huge heart. She wants to believe that Dakota can change, that they can stay together and be a family, but she's been lied to a lot, and she needs to learn when to let things go. You guys may know that she is going to be the newest Bachelorette. I cannot wait. I feel like I haven't seen Bachelorette in a long time. I think the last season I watched was when Andy was on it, which was what, like 2018, 2019? I'm going to watch that season. I am rooting for her so hard, because she deserves her love story. She deserves somebody that's not going to torment her with false promises. Sorry if you're a Dakota fan. If you are a Dakota fan, I can't imagine why you're a Dakota fan. But yeah, let's go into her forecast. Let's go into the numerology for her year this year, because I feel like they should have wrapped up filming by now, right? Because it's releasing like early spring. I don't know. But here's the numerology for her year. I'm excited to see if there's like a number for like marriage, like if she meets her soulmate, if she meets her life partner. We're going to be so happy for her. So let's take a look at the numbers that are happening for her in her 31st through 32nd year. We have the numbers 17, 11, and 10. And 10 is the number of luck. 10 is the number of fortune. And I feel like the fact that she didn't like totally deserve this, but I feel like the energy of the number 10 is how she landed being the bachelorette. Like, oh my gosh, talk about things working out, talk about luck. The number 17, let's start there. Let's start with the primary number for this year. The number 17 is all about doing what you love, traveling, passion, creative and spiritual, like height. Being able to have all sorts of opportunities, lucky opportunities, and unexpected help from external places. 17 is also about dreams being fulfilled, success coming in, start. And it's really having an optimistic outlook and being very, very in tune with your intuition. 17 brings in a well developed intuition and an inner harmony that she might have not had access to before. That's if she's operating in alignment. If and everybody gets down in a funk, if she's operating mostly from misalignment, signs of this playing out may be arrogance, coldness, kind of alienating herself from other people, refusing to ask for help, refusing to help others, getting a little bit full of yourself, plans falling through, contracts falling through, and conflicts with friends, problems with creativity, passivity, and having a pessimistic outlook. It even has this mention, like this special mention in personal life, the 17, when operating from misalignment, can manifest a relationship that doesn't really have a future. There's no requited love. There's kind of this unrequited love situation. Moving on to the number 11, this is a period of growth, success. It might feel like a little bit of endurance test because it is accompanied by a lot of hard work, a lot of energy that needs to be put into creative projects. There is an opportunity for promotions, for recognition. It's possible to open up your own business or to work on an existing one and achieve like new heights for it. The negative manifestation of number 11s, because it's kind of like an endurance test, like you're going through like a marathon, you really need to prepare yourself for an 11 year and make sure that you're putting in some downtime for yourself, like getting that TLC, doing self-care, because it might burn you out and you could feel depleted energetically. You could get sick. There could be some like external frenemies or competitors that are in competition with you that could cause conflict. We also see that if this burnout happens, there could be depression, tension, financial loss, and things kind of getting out of control. Last number for her 31st and 32nd year is the number 10, the number of luck and fortune. Manifesting positively, this is something that brings in a flow of luck and money, sudden changes that end up going very well for you. Fateful kind of like destiny moments where like you get an opportunity that you were destined to have. There's also signs of traveling, moving to a different country, good investments, bonuses, rewards, and in personal life, a meeting that can turn into a fateful relationship. So, ding, 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 we have the opportunity for a relationship that was fated, that was meant to be, to come into her reality for her. So, we're very excited about that. If misaligned, there could be illness, injury, job loss, anxiety, tension in business and personal life, passivity, large expenses, debts, and loans. In regards to personal life, if it's manifesting in misalignment, there's this potential for there to be no stability, no commitment, or comfort in the relationship. And there could be negative cycles that are repeated over and over again. And that's a quick rundown of Taylor Frankie Paul's soul contract for you guys. I'm so happy that I did that because everything about her soul contract makes sense when you take a look at the show and how Taylor Frankie shows up If you were interested in purchasing your own soul contract, you can do so at going to thesoulecosystem.com or my Etsy shop, The Soul Ecosystem. I am doing a 25% off promo code specifically for my Etsy shop called New Year, no spaces, all caps, to give you guys 25% off the year ahead readings that I do. And it's exactly like what I just did with Taylor Frankie Paul's, except like it's in paragraph form, like there's pages of it. It's going to give you a rundown of the numbers that are found in the year that you are in and what it means for that year. If you wanted to look into what the next year is going to bring in for you, you can do so by purchasing it on my Etsy shop and using the promo code New Year to get 25% off. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you liked it, comment, subscribe. If there's a specific celebrity that you want me to look into, feel free to drop it in the comments. I would love to dissect that for you guys and let me know what you think about it. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful weekend and happy holidays.